The cage on level 27 asterisk level 27 was cold, dark, silent. No windows, no lights, only the low hum of machines and the soft clink of metal chains. Dozens of cages lined the long hallway. Most were empty now. Only a few still held life, broken, quiet, and forgotten. Mason hated this place. He walked slowly, his boots echoing with each step. He had seen many horrors in space, but this felt different. He was not here to fight, not here to save. He was just a cleaner today, hired to check the ship after a rebel attack. But as he moved past the last row of cages, he saw her. Curled in the corner of a small, rusted cage was a girl, not a woman, not a child. Something in between. Her skin was pale, covered in dirt. Her hair was silver, tangled and long. She had no clothes, just a rough blanket wrapped around her body. Her arms hugged her knees. Her head rested against the bars. She didn't move when he stopped, didn't flinch, didn't speak, but her eyes opened slowly. They were not like human eyes. They were large, deep, glowing faintly blue, but empty. Mason crouched down. "You alive?" he asked quietly. No answer. He looked at the cage control. The lock was old, easy to open. Still. He waited. Then a tear slipped from her eye. Just one. Mason watched it roll down her cheek. Without thinking, he reached through the bars and wiped it away with his thumb. Her body tensed. Then, very softly, she whispered something. Her voice was dry, cracked, barely a sound. "Don't hurt me." Mason's chest tightened. He looked around. The ship was quiet. No guards. No one left. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said gently. She didn't believe him. He saw it in her eyes. He took off his jacket and pushed it through the bars. "Here, wear this." She stared at it. Then slowly, carefully, took it and pulled it over herself. He opened the cage. She didn't run. "Can you walk?" he asked. She nodded. Weakly. He helped her out. Her feet touched the cold floor. They were bruised. Mason looked at the ship's scanner. The system was down. Cameras off. No alerts. "We have to go now," he said. "Before someone comes back." They moved through the halls, her small frame wrapped in his jacket, staying close behind him like a shadow. They reached the storage bay. He opened a hidden crate, meant for tech cargo. "Get in," he said. "We'll fly out inside this." She hesitated. "Trust me," he added. She looked into his eyes for a long second, then nodded. He closed the crate, locked it gently, and sent the signal. 10 minutes later, the ship detached from the rebel cruiser and jumped into hyperspace. They landed at a small moon base, old, forgotten, half buried in rock. Mason opened the crate. The girl blinked at the light. Her body was stiff from the trip. "We're safe here," he said, "for now." He gave her water, soft food, a blanket, a room to sleep. She didn't speak. For 2 days, she sat in silence, watching the sky through a broken window. On the third night, Mason walked in with a data pad. "I ran a scan," he told her. "You're not on any known species list." She didn't react. "Do you remember anything?" he asked. "Your name, where you're from." Silence. He sighed and started to leave. Then he heard her voice. Soft. "Almost not there. I don't have a name." He turned around. She was looking at him, eyes still glowing faintly, voice shaking. "They never gave me one." Mason walked back and sat across from her. "What did they call you?" "Nothing," she said. "Sometimes sorrow." "Sorrow?" She nodded. "Because I cried too much." Mason looked at her, heart heavy. "Then let's find you a new name," he said. "When you're ready." She looked down, tears welled again in her eyes. He reached out and wiped them gently, just like before. "You're not a thing," he whispered. "You're safe now." Outside the window, stars glowed above the quiet moon. But inside her, something was waking. Not just memories. Something powerful. Something not meant to be locked in a cage. Asterisk, not a slave. Something else. Asterisk, the moon base was quiet. Old metal halls echoed with soft wind sounds. It was a safe place. But the girl still didn't sleep well. Mason watched her from the doorway. She sat on a soft mat, hugging her knees, staring at a blank wall. "You should eat something," he said. She didn't answer. He walked over and sat beside her. "You said they called you Sorrow, but you don't have to keep that name." She looked at him. "I don't remember anything else." Mason nodded slowly. "Maybe it'll come back." He showed her the data pad. I scanned your DNA again. I sent it through Blacknet, underground systems. Guess what came back? She waited. Nothing. Her eyes widened a little. You're not listed in any galactic species record, Mason said. Not human, not hybrid, not even class 5 unknowns. She blinked. He continued. You're not just a slave they caught. You're something else. And someone out there wants you back badly. He turned the screen. Bounty posters filled the display. One of them showed a sketch. Not exact, but close. Silver hair, glowing eyes. The label read, Priority Class Asset, Reward, 2 million credits, status, return alive only. She stared at the image, then turned away. I don't know why, she said softly. I don't know what I did. Mason leaned back. I don't think you did anything wrong. He said, I think you were born into something, and they want to control it. She looked down. I'm scared. He nodded. Me too. Later that day, Mason brought her an old translator band. Put this on your wrist. It will help if you hear or remember other languages. She did. As soon as it activated, a strange pulse ran through the room. Lights flickered. An old artifact in the corner, a metal cube Mason had found years ago, suddenly glowed. They both stared at it. The cube floated in the air for a moment, then dropped. What was that? She asked. I don't know, Mason said, but you did something. Your voice. Your presence. It activated it. She touched the cube. It glowed again. A faint symbol appeared. A tree with stars in its branches. Mason whispered. I've seen that mark before, in a rebel archive. They said it was the lost symbol of a royal bloodline, wiped out during the Great Fire War. She looked confused. A royal? She asked. Me? Mason stared at her. Maybe you're the last of something they tried to erase. That night, she cried softly in her room. Mason sat outside the door, listening. Not because he wanted to intrude, but because he didn't want her to feel alone. The next morning, she spoke first. I had a dream. Mason looked up. About what? A garden with tall white trees. And a voice said, Elya, come back. He raised an eyebrow. Elya, could that be your name? I don't know. Maybe. Mason wrote it down. Elya. He repeated. That sounds strong. She smiled for the first time, just a little. Then something changed. An alert flashed on Mason's device. Someone's scanning the moon. He said, a bounty drone. Elya's face turned pale. Mason stood quickly. We have to go. But where? Anywhere else. They found us. He opened a hidden hatch leading to the underground hangar. He grabbed her hand, and they ran up behind them. A small black drone hovered outside the window, recording everything. As they reached the hangar, Elya stopped. Her head hurt. Images flashed in her mind. War, fire, ships falling from the sky, voices, screaming her name. She dropped to her knees. Mason knelt beside her. Elya, what's wrong? She whispered. I remember. Someone said I was the key. The key to what? She looked up, to something buried, something powerful. Mason looked into her glowing eyes. This wasn't just a rescue anymore. This was a secret the galaxy wanted to bury, and he had just made himself part of it. Asterisk. Her name is Sorrow. Asterisk. The ship shook as it left the moon's surface. Mason held the controls tight while Elya sat beside him, still breathing hard. Outside, a black bounty drone followed close. Its red scanner light blinked behind them. We can't outrun it forever, Mason said. We need to lose it in the drift field. What's that? Elya asked. An asteroid cloud. Thick, fast, deadly, but it hides ships. She nodded. Do it. They entered the drift. The ship rocked hard. Metal creaked. Small rocks scratched the windows. Mason's hand stayed firm on the controls. The drone couldn't follow. Signal lost. They were safe for now. They landed inside a hollow asteroid, an old rebel hideout, cold and empty. Mason helped Elya out of the ship. She walked slowly, eyes scanning the quiet walls. I've been here before, she whispered. Mason turned. How do you know? I don't know. I just feel it. They entered the old command room. Broken screens, burnt maps, and a large stone table in the center. On the table was a carved symbol, a tree with stars. Elya touched it. Her hand glowed softly. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the room. Female, calm, powerful. Welcome, Sorrow. Mason froze. Sorrow, he whispered. Elya looked down. That was the name they gave me in the cage. The voice continued. Only one of the crown bloodline can unlock the heart of flame. You are Sorrow. daughter of starlight. The gate awaits. The light faded. Mason stepped forward. What does that mean? Elya was shaking. I'm not just someone they caught. I was hidden, protected. But they found me, and they took everything. Mason placed a hand on her shoulder. You're not alone now. She looked up at him. You really believe me? He nodded. I saw your power. I saw what you carry. They fear you because they can't control you. She blinked fast, holding back tears. I don't want to be sorrow anymore, she said. I want a real name. Mason smiled gently. Elya. That was in your dream. We'll use that, Elya. She whispered to herself. Yes, that feels right. But peace didn't last. The base door alarm beeped. Mason checked the screen. A small ship had landed outside. One figure walked toward them. Mason grabbed his blaster. Stay here. He walked out, stepping into the dusty hallway. A man waited at the door, dressed in black armor, scarred face, cold eyes. You must be Mason, the man said. Heard you picked up a girl with strange powers. Mason aimed his weapon. Who are you? Name's Grax. Bounty hunter. Hired by the crown itself. Mason didn't move. Grax smirked. Look, I'm not here to kill her. Just need her returned. Alive. No damage. She's not a thing. Mason growled. Everything's a thing to the right buyer. Grax said. Not to me. Grax sighed. Then you'll both die. He moved fast. Blaster fire filled the air. Mason rolled behind a wall. Grax fired again, pushing forward. Just as Grax reached the door, a blast of blue light hit him in the chest. Grax flew back, crashing against the wall. Mason looked up. Elya stood there, glowing. Her eyes burned like fire. Her hands were shaking. I told you not to follow, she whispered. Grax groaned on the ground, barely breathing. Elya knelt beside him. Tell them, tell your masters, I remember who I am now, and I'm not afraid. Grax nodded weakly. Mason dragged him back to his ship and locked him inside. He'll live, Elya said. Why didn't you kill him? Mason asked. Because sorrow would have, she replied. Elya won't. That night, she sat by a small flame, staring at her hands. I can hurt people, she said. Yes, Mason said. But you choose not to. That's what makes you strong. She looked at him. Thank you for giving me a name. Mason smiled. And thank you for saving my life. As the stars outside blinked slowly, Elya whispered, this is just the beginning. Asters chased through fire. Asters. The next day, the asteroid base felt colder. Mason packed quickly. Food, fuel cells, tools, all loaded into the small ship. Elya stood near the airlock, arms crossed, eyes sharp. They'll send more than one bounty hunter next time, she said. I know, Mason replied. That's why we're leaving. Where will we go? A place called the Ash Belt. It's dangerous, full of drifting firestorms and wrecked ships. But it hides what they can't track. Elya nodded. Let's go. They boarded the ship. Engines hummed. Stars blurred. But something followed. Halfway through the Ash Belt, scanners beeped red. 2 ships behind them. They're fast, Mason said. Too fast. Can we lose them? Elya asked. Not in open space, but through the fire tunnels. What's that? Gas trails, unstable, burning. One wrong move, and we're ash too. Elya placed a hand on his arm. We'll make it. Mason turned the ship sharply. Outside, the black space turned red. Glowing flames swirled around floating wrecks. The enemy ships chased close. Mason gritted his teeth. Come on, old girl. Hold together. The ship dove into a tight gap between broken freighters, flame whipped across the glass. Warning lights flashed. One enemy ship exploded behind them, caught in a gas burst. The other kept coming. Elya stood. Her hands glowed again, soft blue fire curling from her fingers. What are you doing? Mason asked. Trust me. She opened the side panel. Wind howled and Elya reached out, her voice speaking strange words. A wave of energy burst from her palms. The fire in front of them split, opening a clear path through the storm. The enemy ship got trapped in swirling heat. It burst like glass. They were alone again. Safe for now. They landed on an old rebel world, scorched, silent, covered in ash. This place was a camp, Mason said. Rebels hid here during the Flame War. Elya looked around. Feels like ghosts still walk. They found a shelter built into the rocks. Inside was an old carved wall, faded symbols, star patterns, and a large tree. Elya touched it. Her hand glowed. A soft hum filled the room. Then, a flash of memory struck her. She dropped to her knees. Mason rushed to her side. What is it? She closed her eyes. Visions. Ships falling. A voice calling her name. Her mother's face. Crying. Shouting. Don't awaken the crown unless the human loves you freely. Elya opened her eyes. Tears rolled down. What did you see? Mason asked. My mother. She warned me. The crown. It's not just a title. It's power. Dangerous power. What does she mean by love? If I use the crown without love, it brings war. If used with love, it brings peace. Mason looked at her. Then we do it the right way. She touched his hand. You've done so much already. He smiled. You gave me a reason. Later, as they rested near the fire, Mason noticed something on her back. A mark, glowing faintly under her skin. A symbol. He brushed her hair aside. Elya. This mark. It's the same as the crown seal I saw once in the rebel database. She looked at him. Then it's true. You're the heir. No, she said quietly. I'm the key. She leaned closer. Voice soft. But a key is useless unless someone turns it. They sat in silence. Outside, red stars burned above the ashes. Inside, hope flickered. Fragile. Real. The girl who could burn galaxies. Asterisk. The rebel planet slept under red stars. But inside the stone shelter, silence was heavy. Elya sat near the cold fire pit. Her hands glowed faint blue. Her eyes stared into nothing. You haven't slept, Mason said. I don't need sleep, she whispered. Not anymore. Mason stepped closer. What's happening to you? She looked at him. Her voice shook. My body is changing. My blood, it burns. Suddenly, the old cooking pot nearby melted. Metal turned soft, dripping like wax. Mason stepped back. You didn't even touch it. I dreamed it melted, she said, and it did. Outside, the scanner beeped. A signal. Not a ship. Not a drone. An AI. Mason checked the screen. One word appeared. Spark _ detected. We've been found, he muttered. By who? Elya asked. Not who. What? It's a rogue AI system. Old war tech. They call it the Eater of Keys. It hunts anyone with ancient blood. Elya stood. Slowly. Then it's after me. Mason nodded. We need to run. No, she said. We end it. The eye arrived that night, not in a ship, but as a voice, cold, deep, echoing in every screen. Elya Varia, the last flame. Surrender. She stood in front of the base, eyes glowing. Why do you hunt me? She asked. Your kind once tried to rule with peace. Peace is weakness. Your child would be a threat. I'm not carrying a child. Not yet. Mason raised his blaster. Careful, Elya said. It's everywhere, not just one place. The AI released a small attack drone from the sky. Mason fired. Missed. El, while he raised her hand. Blue fire burst from her palm. The drone turned into ash, but the effort drained her. She fell to one knee. You okay? Mason ran to her. I'm fine, she said. Just too much at once. The eye spoke again. You are becoming what we feared. The girl who could burn galaxies. Mason shouted. She's not a weapon. The eye replied. She is now. After the attack, they sat by the old stone wall. Mason patched her wounds. Elya looked at him. I scare you now. You don't, he said softly. What scares me is losing you. She touched his face. You stayed, even when I changed, because you're still you. What if I lose control one day? Then I'll remind you who you are. She smiled. Elya, he whispered, you said your mother warned you not to use the crown unless the human loves me freely. She finished. They sat in silence. Mason said, I don't know what love is supposed to feel like, but when you smile, I feel safe. She looked at him. Then maybe that's enough. Later that night, they activated a hidden console in the base. A hologram appeared, an old queen with silver hair. If you're seeing this, my daughter, it means they found you. Elya watched, eyes full of tears. You are more than flame. You are hope. But do not light the galaxy unless someone sees your soul, not your power. The hologram faded. Mason said, your mother believed in you. Elya whispered, will you stay with me, always? After the first time, the fire inside her didn't burn. It warmed. Asterisk, she is not a thing. Asterisk, a day passed. Mason and Elya stayed hidden beneath the rebel base. Deep in the old stone tunnels, outside, scanners searched. Ships flew low, but none found them yet. Mason checked the radar. Red dots blinked. They're closing in, he said. Elya sat by the wall, breathing slow, focused. They won't stop, she said. They'll never stop. Not until I'm chained again. Mason looked at her. You're not going back in the cage. They don't want just me, she said. They want control. They want to use my blood, to use me like a thing. Her voice trembled. But I'm not a thing. Mason stepped forward and knelt beside her. You're right, he said. You're not a thing. You're not a weapon. You're a person, and you choose what you become. She looked into his eyes. Then I choose to never be owned again. A signal flashed on the screen. A royal fleet had arrived. Large, silver. Ships covered the sky above the rebel planet. They sent a message. Human named Mason. We offer you a deal. Hand over the crown girl. We will spare Earth, and you may leave safely. Elya heard the message. Her hands went cold. They're threatening your world. Because of me. Mason didn't flinch. They want to scare us. It won't work. What if they mean it? He looked at her. Calm. Sure. Then they'll find Earth has people worth fearing to. She laughed a little. You sound like a warrior. I'm just a man with something to protect, he said. That night, Elya lit a flame in her hand. Soft, steady. I remember more now, she said. My mother used to say, light is not just for burning. It's for showing the way. Mason smiled. Then let's show them something new. They prepared the ship. Their destination, the crown planet, the homeworld of the very people who hunted her. You're sure about this? Mason asked. Elya nodded. If I run forever, others like me will suffer. So we go to them, Mason said, not to beg, but to choose. They entered crown space. The planet below was massive, glowing gold and white, covered in towers. They were stopped by royal fighters. This is restricted airspace. Identify yourself. Mason replied. This is Elya, the last of the flame bloodline. Silence. Then, permission granted. They landed on the royal platform. Hundreds of guards waited. Nobles in long robes stood in silence. A tall woman stepped forward. High Commander of the Crown, she said coldly. You were born to serve, not lead. Elya stepped ahead. No, she said. I was born to live. The commander raised a hand. Soldiers pointed weapons. Mason stood beside her, sword in hand. If you shoot her, he said, you better shoot me too. The commander laughed. Why protect her, human? She's not even one of you, Mason answered, calm and clear, because she cried once, and no one cared. I saw her in a cage, no name, no clothes, no hope, and she still had tears to give. That's not weakness, that's strength. The crowd was silent. Elya raised her glowing hand. I don't want your throne, she said. I don't want war. A soft light spread from her body. Not fire, something peaceful. But I won't be silent. I won't be used, and I won't be called sorrow again. She turned to Mason. I am Elya. He smiled, and I choose you, freely. The crown commander lowered her hand. And for the first time in a century, the royal city stood still, in awe of a girl who once had nothing. The girl with the name Asters. The crown hall stood in silence. Elya stood at the center. No chains, no fear. Her body glowed with soft blue light. The high commander, once proud and cruel, looked at her with unsure eyes. Mason stood beside her, calm, sword at his side. The man who once walked alone now stood as her shield. Her voice, her choice. The nobles waited. What do you want? One asked quietly. Revenge. Elya shook her head. No, I want something harder, something you've forgotten. She stepped forward. I want peace. The light from her hands rose slowly, spreading across the floor. Memories came with it. Old faces, lost names. The pain of a forgotten people. Some guards dropped their weapons. Some nobles fell to their knees. Crying. The crown commander said nothing, but her eyes watered. How did we let this happen? She whispered. Elya answered. By closing our hearts. Later, in a quiet room, Mason held Elya's hand. She leaned against him, tired but smiling. It's over, he said. She looked at him. Not over, just beginning. The council agreed to a new rule. No more cages, no more forced silence. The old system was broken. The new one would be shaped by many voices. Starting with hers. Weeks passed. Elya and Mason stood before a gathering of many worlds. She no longer wore chains or rags, but simple robes she chose herself. No crown, no throne, just a name she earned. A speaker asked, who are you now? She smiled and said clearly, I am Elya. Once called sorrow, once caged, now free and never again forgotten. The crowd rose to their feet. After the meeting, Elya and Mason returned to the place it all began, the rebel world with ashes and stars, the same stone cave, the same old wall with the tree symbol. What now? Mason asked. We build, Elya said, not just for us, but for the others still out there, the ones still in cages, the ones still waiting for someone to wipe their tears. Mason nodded. Then let's find them. She smiled and whispered, you found me, and somewhere far away, in a dark cell, a child looked up at the stars and whispered a name they'd heard in secret, Elya, because hope travels faster than light.